Hi, I'm Shawn.
And I'm Aleesha.
We're a couple from Toronto, Canada, moving to Chelmsford in the United Kingdom.
Follow our journey as we experience the ups and downs of living abroad. Hi, welcome back to our channel. We just want to introduce a new series called Tea Time with Shawn and Aleesha.
So the purpose of this new series is basically to give you guys the tips and tricks if you're looking to do what we did and move from Canada to the UK.
So the first episode is going to be all about visas, and I came here on a Tier 5 Youth Mobility visa from Canada to the UK. Shawn came here on a sponsorship visa with his work, so if you want to learn more about that, go watch his video, which will be uploaded next week. But this is my process, and I just want to kind of go through it with you and share some tips that I wish I knew on the way. So quick disclaimer before I jump into any of this, I am not an immigration lawyer, and this was just my experience and what was relevant to me in January of 2021. So the most important thing to know about the Tier 5 Youth Mobility Visa is the requirements. So in order to do this visa, you have to be between the ages of 18 and 30, you have to have 2,530 pounds in your savings, and be from a specific country, including Canada and Australia, but this is the full list. Obviously I'm Canadian, so it worked for me. So if you check off these boxes, the first thing you're going to do is fill out your application form. So this is basically where they ask all of your personal information. During this, you also have to pay some fees. So you'll pay the application fee, which is £244, and most importantly, you'll be paying your NHS fee in advance, which is quite expensive. So that is £470 per year, and this visa lasts for 2 years. So total you're paying £940. So in your application, it's also going to ask you to make an appointment for your biometrics. So what does that mean? So your biometrics appointment is basically where you go in, give them all of your documents, your application, your passport, and your fingerprints, and they send that off, and that's where they decide if your visa is going to be accepted or denied. Going into that appointment seems really stressful, but honestly it was a breeze. So here's a hot tip for you. When you're filling out your application, it's going to ask you where you want to pick up your biometrics residency permit. Your BRP is a little card that you can keep in your wallet that basically says, yes, you have a visa, and here's what that means. When you're picking it up, it will ask you where you want to go. I live in Chelmsford, and I knew I was going to be living in Chelmsford, but unfortunately there's no office here where we could pick it up. So I just looked on the map, where's the closest city I could do that. I had to go to this place called Romford, and that was a mistake. I had to do a transfer, all that. When Shawn got his work sent it to London for him, and his process took much quicker than mine did, just because although Romford was closer, London was more convenient. So when you're looking into this, check bus routes and just figure out what's most convenient for you. For your biometrics appointment, you need to bring a lot of documents with you, including your confirmation email, your passport, and your bank letter. The bank letter is really confusing, I'll talk about that in a second, but aside from that, just make sure you have it all. Going into the appointment, you get there and they just ask you some like security questions. I was mainly asked just COVID questions, and they'll try to upsell you some things. So the first thing that they tried to upsell me was when I was filling out my application, they asked if I wanted to scan my documents myself or if I wanted them to do it. I chose for them to do it mainly because I didn't have a scanner, but also what they did in that sense was I brought those documents with me and they physically just sent them with my visa so the people there can just look at them. The second thing they tried to upsell me with, and I would highly recommend, is getting your passport mailed back to your house. So when I went in and they asked if I wanted to do this, I was like, no, it should be okay. Like, it is what it is. And they said if I get it back to my house, I'll get it sooner. So when you get it back to the visa application center or the biometric center, you have to make a new appointment, and that can take some time. So spending, I think it was like $85 US or something to get it mailed to my house was the best decision. Hot tip for you, number 2. When you go into your biometrics appointment, make sure to read the email prior. I got the emails after my visa application. I was like, okay, great, this is fine. And then the day before realized, okay, shoot, I'm supposed to print off a bunch of documents. Honestly, just make sure you're reading that front and back, and make sure to try to get there 15 minutes early. It will ask you to get there 15 minutes early, and honestly, better early than late. So I mentioned that you need to bring a bank letter to this appointment, and what does that mean? Your bank letter is basically just your proof of savings. So again, you have to have a certain amount of money in your account in savings, not including the NHS fee and not including the visa fee. This has to be after you pay for all of that. So I was really confused when I walked into the bank and I said, okay, so on this website it says I need to show that I have X amount of money for X amount of days. Can you do that? And they had no idea what I was talking about. So then I asked someone who does this for a living, and they said what the bank letter actually is a letter that says as of the day of your application, this is how much money you have in a specific account, which it was very specific and it was great. What I also brought with me was a printout of my account that said my name, all of my information, and every single bank account I had and how much money was in there. I honestly would recommend just bringing as much as you can, but if you're confused about this, just ask someone for help. There's a lot of companies that help with visa applications and they can be quite expensive, but honestly for the peace of mind, it can be worth it. So that's pretty much it. It is a very long and confusing process. I was really stressed out the entire time I was doing it. So I hope this kind of gives some insight to that. If it is something where you have questions about my process and my journey, feel free to send us a message on Instagram or the link on our website where you can give us an email and I'll answer whatever questions you might have. Again, this is just my experience. Not everyone's experience is going to be like this. And if you're more interested in doing a work sponsorship route, watch Shawn's video, which will be next.
Oh, we are all